Karlo on the road to recovery, presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. Doc, we got a big one. Davante Adams, star wide receiver for the LA Rams, going down with a hamstring injury. It was pretty hard to watch. You could just see him pull up while he's running his route, grab that hamstring, and stay down on the ground. Doc, what did you see when Adams went down?
Well, it's the typical, how often do we see on a long run or on a long pass pattern, you see somebody grab for the back of their thigh and you know right away what it is. Sometimes you hope it's just a cramp and maybe they can work it out on the sideline, but a lot of the times it isn't. And I like to think of, on one of our segments last week, we talked about calf injuries in the NBA. I kind of like to think of hamstring injuries being the calf injury of the NFL.
How so?
Because NBA players are more pulling up and jumping to take their shots or to get rebounds, whereas NFL players are more doing short sprints for a period of 20 or 30 yards at the wide receiver position, at least. And it's the hamstring muscles that really work hardest when you're running, as opposed to the calf muscles, which work hardest when you're pulling up and jumping. So this is really kind of like the analog of the NBA with their calf injuries. And I think what we talked about with calf injuries pertains just the same to hamstring injuries. These guys are in such better shape than they ever used to be, so much stronger than they ever used to be, run so much faster than they ever used to run. Are we starting to reach the point where they're kind of close to exceeding the limits of what their body can take? And I think that the same kind of things that I hypothesized about basketball, about increasing size of roster, rotating guys in and out more, to not be subjected to as many repetitive snaps and doing this over and over again, and longer rest before they return to play. Not just shrugging off and saying, it's just a hammy, they'll be back in a week or two. We've seen some guys who've been out 6 to 8 weeks. Christian McCaffrey was out for a long time with strain type injuries last year. I think we're learning that we need to rest these players longer when they're coming back from these injuries.
As you mentioned, Doc, this is a common injury that we see in the NFL. We always hear nagging hamstring injuries. I think for somebody, Davante Adams' status, and right now even the Rams' status in the NFL, the last thing that they need is some sort of nagging injury that can jeopardize their future on what's been a successful season so far. So looking at the timeline, we have a Thursday night football matchup, which makes matters worse. A short week to recover to try to play against Seattle on Thursday. We have a Monday night matchup against the Falcons and a still TBD game against the Cardinals. Looking at that timeline, as the Rams are still trying to go for the number one seed in the NFC, would we expect to see Davante Adams come back anytime soon?
Well, I don't think you'll see him Thursday night. At least he wouldn't be playing if I was the coach and the medical staff.
Yeah, our Rams analyst, Sewell Cravens, straight out said it would be stupid to see him on Thursday.
And I think that maybe even 10 days later on the Monday night game is a little early. That's only 2 weeks of rest. You've clinched a playoff spot. So you have to have this decision about, are we better off going into the playoffs not having a bye, not being number one, but having a healthy player? Or are we better off going in having an extra week off, but maybe playing him to secure that spot? And they might, with Seattle being as close to them as they are, they might need to win 2 more games to clinch that spot, not just 1 more game. So there's going to be significant pressure for him to play in that Monday night game in 2 weeks. But that said, if he's got any symptoms at all, don't turn a nagging injury into a season-ending injury. That's always my thought process. Make the playoffs and then play your way through them with a healthy player.
Sounds like very wise advice, Dr. B. I mean, especially you mentioned the Seahawks matchup. Both the Rams and the Seahawks have the Niners on their tail. So to decide between the wild card and NFC West that has turned into the NFC best, you have 3 teams gunning for some major positioning right there. So even looking at Adam Schefter, he agrees with you. He feels like, hey, Davante Adams, he sees does not return in the regular season and instead comes back for the Rams' first game in the postseason. Comes at a good time. I mean, I don't know what you've seen with the Rams, but the Rams are starring Sean McVay to build out a run game with Kyron Williams and Blake Corum, and then even play with three tight end sets with Davis Allen, Tyler Higbee, and Kobe Parkinson, and even the rookie Tyler Ferguson. So all these different tools for the Rams may show that they don't miss, or they won't miss, Davante Adams.
Well, they look pretty good in their game this weekend, number one. Number two, Sean McVay's had to come up with some innovative, schemes, which he's done. And why don't you just go with that and then spring Davante back on them come the playoffs, and he's fresh, and you can have some new looks that the other team might not be prepared for. So I think that there's actually some advantage to just trying to play out the rest of the season, relying on the running game and some of these newer lineups that McVay's put in there, and bring him back as a, well-rested surprise entry come playoffs rounds.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting to see how Sean McVay can treat this as a blessing in disguise and be able to get ready in time for a postseason with a surprise like Davante Adams, as weird as that sounds. Dr. B, thank you very much for giving us an inside look at Davante Adams and his hamstring injury. We'll see when he returns on the field for the Rams, but until then, thank you very much for always joining us on the Road to Recovery, presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. Thanks a lot, Doc.
Great to talk to you, and I'm sure we'll be speaking again soon.